All right. If anyone has heard me speak on flat Earth elsewhere, they probably already know the term robothemism. The gist is, modern flat Earth, including Nico's belief, is completely different from anything else in history. All ancient cultures with flat Earth cosmologies, and I do mean all of them, believed that when the sun set at night, it was gone, uh, not visible to any human being in the habitable world. Almost universally, they believed it was under us, underground, in the underworld, in the Earth God's stomach, something like that. That's the straightforward answer to how it gets back east for the next sunrise. By contrast, Nico is part of a brand new cult movement that started in the 1800s with Samuel Robotham. Everything here should look familiar, because this is all the same dogma that flat earthers use today. Sunset is due to perspective as it moves away horizontally, the North Pole is the center of the world, Antarctica is an ice wall around the outside, etc. Robotham pulled all of this out of his hat fully formed, and it has not changed in 160 years. Welcome to Robothamism. I want this to sink in for you all. What my opponent believes is not ancient or historical. He will try to downplay the distinction, but sunrise and sunset are arguably the most obvious natural phenomena in the world. There was never a time that mankind didn't understand the sun was going up and down. In order to deny that, you have to be part of a cult, and cults are really bad at judging their own roots. We must not let Nico or other flat earthers get away with redefining these categories. If they do, they can just presume victory by sowing any shred of doubt about modern science or the meaning of Scripture, which is a completely dishonest approach. What we need today is a fair and balanced trial of the facts, and that is the last thing that Nico wants. Once he's primed you with modern robothemist assumptions, there's a bunch of verses he can take out of context, as we just saw, to sound like they're saying the Earth is flat, stationary, and enclosed. We'll deal with those when we talk about phenomenology. But I want everyone to watch as Nico either fails or flat out refuses to provide even one single Bible verse that supports specifically robothemism, which is Nico's view. He's trying to piggyback off a bunch of other ancient cosmologies that are completely different. Meanwhile, Matthew 5:45 and Ephesians 4:26 show that if there were any such thing as biblical cosmology, it would be decidedly non-robothemist. Another thing Nico will do is try to shift the burden of proof by demanding that I provide a verse saying the earth is a globe. This is wrong because I have the agnostic position here. The Bible teaches history, theology, and how to reconcile with God. It no more teaches cosmology than it does chemistry or math or how to tie your shoe. Those are just not subjects that God seems to have considered important to reveal in his divine word. After he had Adam name the animals in Genesis 2, he left us the job of figuring out the rest of creation too. That's what we call science, and that's how we know it's a globe. Not because God said so, but because it looks like God made it so. Nico, if you're going to use the Bible to claim authority while you teach something, then it's your job to prove the Bible actually says it. That's how this works. Speaking of science, we were blessed with an independently wealthy Christian pastor, Will Duffy, who took an interest in this debate and decided out of the goodness of his heart to spend his honest, hard-earned money to give you guys the proof you were asking for free of charge. His reward? The most shocking onslaught of hate and slander that I have ever personally seen, rivaled only by the stuff against Jaron for accepting Duffy's gift and witnessing a wonder of God's creation. This is dishonesty on a level that takes my breath away. Nico, in your email to me, you wrote, the final experiment was another government NASA-funded psyop to destroy, sick, and deter people from the truth of our world. Nico, you sound completely insane. Your basis for saying this amounts to basically your own scientific illiteracy about photography and shadows and CGI, and your delusional numerology, soothsaying, and omen reading. You don't really care what the Bible teaches. If you did, these and other verses might give you a bit of trouble sleeping at night for what you say about Will Duffy, Michael Toon, and other good, honest men and women. You shall not spread a false report. You shall not join hands with a wicked man to be a malicious witness. Exodus 23:1. You shall not go around as a slanderer among your people. Leviticus 19:16. O Lord, who shall dwell in your tent? He who does not slander with his tongue, nor takes up a reproach against his friend. Psalm 15:1-3. Every charge must be established by the evidence of two or three witnesses. 2 Corinthians 13:1. And note that means actual witnesses, not just online randos with opinions. You shall not add to the word that I command you, nor take from it. Deuteronomy 4:2. Do not add to his words, lest he rebuke you, and you be found a liar. Psalm 30, verse 6. Nico, seems to me like you have no fear of these warnings at all. You even dare to call your little YouTube pipeline of slander and misinformation a ministry while operating with absolutely no affiliation or oversight from any established church body or tradition. How about some of these verses? Whoever isolates himself seeks his own desire. He breaks out against all sound judgment. Proverbs 18:1. Avoid foolish controversies. As for a person who stirs up division, after warning him once and then twice, have nothing more to do with him. Titus 3:9 and 10. Nico, consider this debate tonight my warning to you. You are in sin, and God does not look kindly on that. Now, if you're going to exercise all that license and authority with Scripture, you'd want your scriptural argument to be pretty strong, right? I know I would. And yet it happens that almost every Bible verse used by flat earthers boils down to the same thing: phenomenology. Uh, oops. Phenomenology is when something is described according to the eye rather than according to its absolute nature. If I'm in a moving vehicle and I say that trees are rushing past me, even though it's actually me that's moving and not the trees, this is not an incorrect or metaphorical statement. It's just a phenomenological statement. I am describing the motion from my point of view and making no reference one way or another to the absolute nature of the situation. That's exactly how the Bible is on cosmology. Take almost any verse that Nico uses tonight and ask yourself the question: is the Bible author maybe just speaking phenomenologically? Just like the example of trees rushing past me. If you search the text, you will almost never, ever find a reason to say no to this question. The Bible uses phenomenological language freely and abundantly everywhere and all the time. Despite our modern mindset, it was pretty much the dominant literary mode at the time. Even for a regular person, it can be pretty challenging to truly unplug your brain from the 21st century to understand the way that scripture was written. How much more so for a dedicated cultist like Nico, who has nothing to gain and everything to lose if he comprehends this. Ladies and gentlemen, watch him run. On some level deep down, he knows this is a gruesome death blow to his cult beliefs. He will not tolerate a word of it. One last note. It turns out that even the word rakia itself, which is translated firmament or expanse in Genesis 1, is also phenomenological. It just means expanse. On this topic, flat earthers get especially careless in cherry-picking secular scholars who use something called the historical critical approach or higher criticism to say this word means a hard or solid dome. You'll find this in any lexicon based on the work of Wilhelm Gesenius, and even in the complete Jewish Bible translation. This is the same method that people use to tell us that Moses didn't write the Torah. It fundamentally undermines our belief that the Bible had a divine origin. And need I remind, they are not portraying a Hebrew cosmology that's compatible with Robotham. Even so, I expect every single piece of that to go completely over Nico's head. He's probably just going to keep cherry-picking that scholarship, totally oblivious to the deep, profound incoherencies that it brings to his argument. And this includes the word firmament, which ultimately comes from pagan Greek cosmology and, if you can believe it, includes a spherical Earth. So, Nico, you got your work cut out for you tonight. Time to put on your big boy pants and answer my challenges. Are you ready? Number one, show me one Bible verse that supports specifically robothamism. Not just flat Earth, not geocentrism, robothamism. Number two, show me one flat or stationary Bible verse that has a reason in the text to take it as ontological, which is the way that you're taking these verses. Number three, show me one source for saying that rakia means a solid dome that is not traceable to historical criticism, which tries to undermine the Bible's divinity. Unless, of course, you're fine with undermining the Bible's divinity. I guess that's a choice you could make. And
One
number four,
1 minute, Peter. Sorry.
Number four, show me one honest, rational reason to suspect that Will Duffy or the rest are lying about TFE, where the funds came from, where it took place, whether any camera trickery was used, what we see in the cameras, and ultimately, whether God made a 24-hour sun in Antarctica, which you know proves he didn't make it flat. Thank you.
Okay, you can't bring me back to the globe with your little diagrams that don't prove anything. The globe should have irrefutable proof, but it doesn't, and we
It
know
does. It's
it
just that
did.
you have a cult brain that can't see it.
No,
And
no,
And the thing is, I kind of respect and appreciate you so far because you seem to be honestly trying to listen to me to, at least to a certain extent. The barrier seems to be truly like the cognitive bias you have instead of guerrilla tactics like when I'm talking to most flat earthers. So kudos to you for that. I believe you're being genuine here.
Yeah.
But I there's still a disconnect, which, unfortunately, I don't think there's going to be a way around that tonight, but I don't know. Good show.
It's been good. I have been listening. You brought up some great things that I never looked into or heard for in a while, like robothemism. Like, good job for bringing that up and almost stumping me with that. But
Thank you.
it didn't last too long because the truth always prevails, and flat Earth, biblical flat Earth is the truth, and we're still prevailing. I gave you the chance to try and bring me back with this big got you moment with the globe Earth, but it's not happening. I've tried to do it for myself for many years. Yeah.
That that sounds like a fictional story. I don't know what you're doing.
All right. Awesome, guys.